Yeah, welcome along. So yesterday, former Home Secretary Suella Braverman went to Cambridge to try to engage with pro-Palestine squatters at the university, and she was met with a wall of silence.
What are you here protesting about?
Might not get a better opportunity than this to talk to
What's your
someone.
message to the Palestinian people? What's your message to Hamas? What's your message to Israel? Hi, I'm Suella. I'm keen to find out your views and what you're protesting about.
Nothing at all?
I'm really keen to hear what your message is to Israel.
No. Well, loads of people on Twitter piled in and said, oh, this is hilarious. They've blanked her because they wanted to mug her off, etc. Well, look, I will tell you why they don't really want to talk and why they wear masks. So most of those campers are not actually students at the university. The Revolutionary Communist Party and other far-left organisations set up a few tents and they send representatives to start these camps. They pretend to be students at universities and they hope that this will be the catalyst to spark a much bigger protest. Now, if they didn't wear masks, like this lot did, and they engaged more with the media, it will become pretty obvious pretty quickly that they aren't actually students at those universities and that the myth of a massive student rebellion will be shattered. So, here's another reason why they don't want to talk. I've been to a few of these demonstrations now, and the same thing happens every single time. One or two self-appointed group leaders follows us around, and other outlets, by the way. This is not just a GBNews thing. If the BBC turned up and did that, they would have got the same response, I guarantee you. But anyway, they follow us around, telling every single person not to talk to us. So here's the evidence. This is what happened at Oxford. Quick chat with you about why you feel so strongly.
Yeah. Why don't we don't speak? Sorry, I'm new here.
But did you want to talk, though? Because it's...
Yeah, I mean, I just... They asked me not to, but...
Yep, this happened in Peckham.
Off GBNews! Off GBNews! Off GBNews! Off GBNews! Off GBNews! Just want to know.
Yeah, and this also happened to us outside Westminster.
This guy wanted this guy. But are you? You're a fascist. Go away.
This guy wanted to talk. He approached me. He approached me. So people want to talk to you, or you are actively engaging with somebody, and then, you know, the usual types rock up and they get right involved. So they silence the crowd. So that happens everywhere you go, all right? So that is really one of the main reasons why they don't want to talk to you. But one thing that was interesting about this Cambridge demonstration was that some of the people telling the youngsters not to engage appeared to actually be members of staff. Now, one thing I will say about this is that you get caught in this kind of doom loop, right? So members of staff at this university tell all of the students there, do not engage, do not engage. And then when you go to them, they say, well, why don't you just ask the students what they think? Having obviously already told them, along with a few other people, not to talk to you. And we do have some footage of that.
Sorry, so I was serving as a staff observer, so we're here to ensure that the students' free speech rights are protected, so you should ask the students if you've got any questions.
So staff are actually involved in this then, are they?
Yes, I was serving as a staff observer.
OK, so do you support the protest here?
I'm not answering any questions. You have to direct the questions to the students.
OK, but you are a member of staff?
Yes.
And you're here?
Yes.
Yes, so you end up in a situation where other people get involved and they don't want to talk to you. But this is hardly surprising, though, considering members of the academic staff at Cambridge were very vocal on Twitter about so-called students stonewalling Suella Braverman. Someone called Nicholas Guyat, I don't know who they are, they probably wrote a book once 20 years ago about the EU and now they're, you know, semi-famous. But anyway, congratulations to the students, faculty and passerby who ensured that when Suella Braverman came to Cambridge today, there was no one for her to talk to, save her GBNews handlers. Just FYI, we did not actually have any GBNews handlers. But anyway, I know for a fact that some people at Cambridge and other demonstrations did actually want to talk and did engage. You've seen a couple of examples in the clips there, but they're actually too scared to do so in case they upset militant camp leaders. Now, I actually know this, especially for a fact, because people there have told me, I've seen it with my own eyes, and because I receive messages like the one I received yesterday whilst I was on the train back from Cambridge, which said this: "Hi, Patrick. I would not have wanted to speak for the encampment at the time, which has a respectable policy of asking media to contact them first before visiting, but happy to talk for myself. It was good to meet you too." Someone there who had the people from the encampment not been telling them not to talk, would have been perfectly happy to have a conversation on camera, OK? But there is, of course, another major reason why they don't want anyone to engage with the media. It's because the second that you scratch the surface, it emerges that Israel might not have a right to exist. They won't condemn Hamas. They don't seem to care about women being raped on October the 7th, and they don't think the hostages should be released. Have a right to exist.
This is the wrong question that you're asking.
Well, OK. I think that's quite tough.
And should the hostages be released?
Listen, like, why is this conflict happening in the first place? Who is responsible for it?
It's easy to say yes to that.
Who is the responsible for it?
Do you believe women were raped on October the 7th by Hamas?
I believe there is a lot of violence taking place across that whole region.
The other thing, of course, is that it's not actually all about Palestine. A lot of it is about overthrowing capitalism. Is actually your main argument for you is you want to smash the capitalist system?
Absolutely, because capitalism produces war and produces imperialism, which fundamentally has been driving everything that's happened over the last 76 years. It isn't just about the last 7 months or anything like this.
But I would just point out, you know, your trainers, your bracelet, everything you're wearing, the coffee you had this morning, the car you
Made
drove
by
in,
workers.
the car you
by
drove in
workers.
today are all products of capitalism.
OK, look, I just think that all of this is worth bearing in mind, especially when it comes to whether or not any business, institution or university should give in to these people's demands. If they do, they are not buckling under the weight of massive people power and human pressure. They are actually giving in to a few radicals, often pretending to be students, who are card-carrying communists that won't even acknowledge that women were raped on October the 7th. Is that who you really want to give in to?